Hi, my name's Lofty, and I bounty hunt criminal players in Star Citizen. Security Post Career is the only place a criminal can go in Stanton to get rid of their crime stat. It's either that or you serve your time. The criminals have to hack into a database and erase their crimes, which can take some time to do. Enough time for me at least to slip into the station and take them out. I like the old hand-to-hand technique. It cuts down on the mess, but the higher-ups insist on the double tap, so that they can send the imprint straight to Klesher without having to pay the transportation costs. I mean, I'm happy to oblige, they're paying my rent after all. But despite most criminals in Stanton acting alone, they often have friends, and whether they know it or not, they're just as guilty in my eyes. So I was tracking this guy in Hurston. He was inside the safe zone at Lawville. Now, normally this would be enough for me to take another target, as they often just go AFK or log out. But for some reason, I thought I'd just get out and see what he was up to. As I wandered over, the contract failed. It seemed like the guy had paid off his crimes at the terminal and was now a lawful citizen again. Why the guild sends us after these white-collar criminals, I'll never know.
Damn you, Bleffish! I'll get you yet! I'll get you yet, you hear?
Anyway, you can see the utter contempt that these criminals have for law enforcement, with this guy hitting me with his ship as a parting gift. He didn't even come up as a bounty on the list. Get your target priorities sorted out, Bounty Hunters Guild. Anyway, it was once again back to Security Post Career, and I was infiltrating the facility with my trusty suppressed S38 pistol. The criminal inside was gunning down the security forces left, right and centre. I followed and flanked around, anticipating the target's movements. Now, some people, and me included, think that having the God marker makes bounty hunting just a bit too easy, and I would really tend to agree, which is why I like to use pistols and non-lethal takedowns to try and apprehend my target, as it's a little bit more of a challenge and gives them a bit more of an advantage. Anyway, I took care of the target and made my way back to Grim Hex. My favourite type of bounties are on-foot bounties, and especially ones where I can breach and board criminal players' ships. On my way back, another bounty came through, just as they were leaving Grim Hex. It was a huge reclaimer. I tracked them deep into the belt surrounding Yellow. This place is an old haunt for illegal cargo running and salvage, and I hadn't seen any criminals out here in a long time, but here we were with a huge reclaimer, out in the belt salvaging ships. I drew closer, eager to look at what was going on. I stealthily moved the razor into their blind spot, confident that they were in the cockpit seat using the scrapers. I exited the ship and floated over to the airlock. Now, most larger ships with exterior doors can be broken into with handheld weapons, even a knife, and the reclaimer is no exception. After a couple of mags worth of SMG ammo, I was in, with enough bullets to spare. I knew my way around the reclaimer well after numerous breach and clear missions and expeditions to destroy the Black Kite, so I knew how to get around this massive ship. I made my way to the bridge. The target was indeed sat in the salvaging seat, scraping the Constellation. I waited in the bridge operations room, trying to decide what to do. I was wondering if there's any way I could mess with him while he was sat in the seat, but ultimately I decided that I probably should just get on with the job and not let this guy salvage for too long, considering he was going to lose it all anyway. As soon as he changed seats, I took my moment to strike. It looked like a rogue operative from Hurston Security, but he was on his own, so it was an easy mark.
Hello, mate. You really need to be more careful when you're out here on your own, you know.
As soon as I took him out, gunfire erupted from somewhere but quickly ceased. I figured it was just the PDCs and not anyone else on the ship, and I hopped in and looked at the hopper of the Claimer, but he only had 2 SCU in there. So I decided to do what I do best and create a big pile of flaming space junk by setting off the self-destruct. I booked it down the corridors and out of the airlock. I had infiltrated the Reclaimer and hopefully sent a reminder to all solo criminals out there that even the biggest ships can be taken down from the inside. As the wreckage of that massive ship gleamed in the darkness of the void, I jumped back in the Razor and made my way back to Grim Hex. And of course, no bounty hunting video in 2025 would be complete without the obligatory elevator hunt. But the servers were dying and I'd forgotten to reload my weapon. Surely it was curtains for me, but no, the decent could save me as the target had also forgotten to reload and I managed to actually get him. It had already been an eventful week of bounty hunting, and I was almost ready to go home. But then, one last job came through. My next target was somehow inside Everest Harbour. They either got dropped off there, or they'd logged back in after their crimes had escalated. Either way, target's a target. I observed them for a while, until they made their way to a Polaris that was just parked at one of the landing pads. Now, with this being an armistice zone, I couldn't exactly go over there and arrest the guy. But as luck would have it, the Polaris opened all its doors to let the guy in. As he walks up the main cargo ramp, I jump out of the Razor and sneakily slip into the Polaris through the upper hangar doors. Making my way inside, I run to the core of the engine room, confident that no one will find me down here. As I sit there, I decided to check the mobileglass for the target's position, and sure enough, they'd made their way onto the Polaris. Now, all I had to do was wait for them to leave the safety of the station. I made my way up through the ship, risking hiding in the main deck, inside the crew's rec room. There was at least 2 or 3 people crewing the ship, so I had to be careful. I was just watching and waiting for the armistice icon in the top left to disappear, and then I'd make my move. Something was hitting the ship from the outside. All I needed was for them to clear the safe zone, and as soon as the ship was clear, I sprang into action. The target was sat using the auxiliary consoles on the bridge. I wasted no time in incapacitating them, but whatever was going on outside rocked the ship before I could finish the job. I got up quickly, iced the target, and ran away into the bowels of the ship until I could escape. But as I watched the ship on the map, I noticed it looked like they were heading straight for Aberdeen and Cleshire. I thought there could only be one reason. They were going to do a prison break for the guy I just took out. Anyway, after some time the pilot had jumped out of the seat and made his way from the bridge. I wasted no time in running up there and doing what I do best. Anyway, this must have caught them by surprise, because while I was trying to escape, I ran back to the armory, and someone must have spotted me, because they decided to run after me as well. So I made my break for the exit, but just as I'm getting to one of the doors, one of them manages to get the drop on me and gets me in a non-lethal takedown from behind, stunning me for 5 seconds. So I managed to get up from that and run for the airlock doors as fast as I can, but obviously they don't want to open because I'm not the owner of the ship and these guys managed to take me out. But they had obviously made a massive error in judgment by trying to run and get me instead of going to the bridge and just turning off the self-destruct, because obviously what happens next you can probably guess. So yeah, that was me taking down a massive Polaris full of what I deem to be criminal players. Whether you agree with me or not, that's up to you, but as far as I'm concerned, they were aiding and abetting a fugitive, so, you know, they all needed to be brought to justice, really. But yeah, please drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this kind of content, and if you do feel like buying me a coffee, there's a Ko-fi link in the description. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.